Welcome back to the deep dive. If you're getting ready to buy a property and you need a mortgage, you're about to face a whole world of jargon
Oh, absolutely. Valuation, structural surveys, retention clauses.
and a mountain of legal documents where it feels like everyone disclaims responsibility except, well, you.
Mm-hmm.
So today, we're here to cut through all of that. We're taking the source material and boiling it down to what you actually need to know to make, the biggest financial decision of your life.
And this is so crucial because the second a lender gets involved, the focus completely shifts. It's not about whether you love the house anymore.
Right.
It's about whether the property is a good financial risk. It's a process where, your security and the lender's security, they overlap a bit, but they're absolutely not the same thing.
So that's our mission today, to clarify that exact difference. We're going to unpack the mandatory basic valuation, which is surprisingly superficial.
Very.
Then we're going deep into the 3 tiers of RICS surveys, levels 1, 2, and 3, the ones that you, the buyer, actually commission.
We also need to get into how major defects, things like subsidence, can just completely sink a deal, what conditional lending means.
And finally, what those protection schemes for new builds actually cover.
And let's just start with the main conflict here, the thing that catches almost every first-time buyer. That basic valuation report, it is explicitly, legally, for the lender's benefit.
It's to assess their risk.
Exactly. But 9 times out of 10, you are the one who has to pay the fee for it. You are literally funding security for someone else.
Okay, let's get right into that. The lender's basic valuation. We all know it's mandatory for a mortgage, but why is it so quick? 30 minutes, maybe even less?
Yeah.
How can anyone possibly assess a whole property in the time it takes to grab a coffee?
Well, the speed is a direct result of its purpose.
Yeah.
It's really just there to confirm one thing for the lender, that the property is additive security.
Meaning if I default?
If you default, they can repossess it and sell it quickly for at least what they lent you. They are not at all concerned with your peace of mind.
So what's the actual scope then? If they're in and out that fast, they must be missing huge chunks of the building.
They are. It's a purely visual inspection. They walk through, they look at the general interior, note the superficial look of the exterior, and they're just looking for really obvious defects.
Like a massive crack in a wall.
Exactly. But, crucially, their terms of engagement state of they will not move furniture, they won't lift carpets, they won't open up cupboards.
They will go into the loft.
Generally not, unless the access is right there and completely safe. They're only reporting on what is immediately visible. That's it.
Wait a minute. So sometimes I might be paying hundreds of pounds for this, and the valuer might not even set foot inside the property. I've heard about this desktop valuation.
Yes, desktop valuations are becoming much more common, especially for remortgages or for, say, a house on a big uniform estate where there's tons of sales data.
So they just use software.
Right, it's complex software that cross-references prices and recent comparable sales. It's fast, and for the lender, it's cheap.
But the limitation seems huge. A computer has no idea if the roof has a leak or if the boiler is on its last legs.
Precisely. It relies entirely on historical data. So in a fast-moving market, that data can be useless overnight. And more importantly, it completely misses any physical defects that even a quick walkthrough would spot.
Localized subsidence, damp.
All of it. The computer model would never flag any of that.
Okay, before we move on, there's a number in that report that sounds a bit dull, but is actually critical for every borrower. The reinstatement value.
Yes.
What is it, and why should we care?
The reinstatement value is the estimated cost to completely demolish and rebuild the property from scratch if it's, say, burned down. The reason you have to care is that this is the figure your home insurance provider uses.
Ah, so that's the number my building's insurance is based on.
Yes, exactly. And if you underinsure, your claim can be scaled down. The reason it's often lower than the market value is that the land itself isn't destroyed in a fire, so you're not insuring the value of the land.
But there's a catch for more unusual properties, isn't there?
A huge one. If you're buying a listed building or something with non-standard materials like a thatched roof or special stonework,
Right.
the cost to rebuild it with those specific materials and specialist labor could be massive. In those cases, the reinstatement value can actually be higher than the mortgage valuation. It's a big red flag that you're going to need specialist insurance.
So the contract for this valuation is between the valuer and the lender. The lender says, not our problem. But what if the valuer makes a really negligent mistake? They miss something obvious that costs me thousands later. Can I sue them?
This is where it gets really interesting. because it all depends on you, the borrower, and how experienced you are.
Okay.
The valuer does have a duty of care, but the courts have gone both ways on this.
Let's talk about the case law. What happened in Smith v. Bush?
So in Smith v. Bush, back in 1990, the valuer missed a major structural problem. But they had this big disclaimer in the report saying they weren't liable. The court ruled that the disclaimer was unreasonable. Why? Because the Smiths were typical, inexperienced first-time buyers. The court basically said they were relying on the valuer's professional opinion, so the valuer couldn't just wash their hands of it. They were found liable.
So the system protects the average inexperienced person more.
It does. Now contrast that with an earlier case, Stevenson v. Nationwide. In that one, the borrower's claim against the valuer was thrown out completely.
Why the different outcome?
Because the borrower, Mr. Stevenson, was an experienced estate agent. The court decided he should have known the limitations of a basic valuation. Given his job, he should have commissioned his own, more detailed survey.
And that really is the key takeaway for you, the listener. Your own level of experience directly impacts your legal protection. If you're new to this, you have more. If you're a seasoned investor, the law assumes you know the risks.
Which is the perfect segue into why you need to commission your own inspection. Because that lender's report is so limited, every smart buyer looks at the RICS home survey reports.
Right, the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors. They've standardized these into 3 levels.
Levels 1, 2, and 3. And this is key because when you commission one, you have a direct contract with the surveyor. That gives you immediate legal recourse if they're negligent.
Okay, let's start with level 1. What is it and who is it for?
The level 1 report is the most basic, the most cost-effective. It's really only for newish, conventional houses. Think a standard home on an estate built after 2000, that looks to be in great shape.
It's just a high-level condition check, then.
Exactly. It uses that traffic light rating system, green, amber, red. But, and this is important, it doesn't give you a market valuation or that reinstatement figure. It just tells you the general condition.
And to be clear on that rating, Condition 3 is the big red flag.
Condition 3 means stop. It's a serious defect that needs urgent attention or a specialist to look at it, major damp, roof issues, that kind of thing.
Then Condition 1 is all good.
Condition 1 is no apparent defects. It's a helpful snapshot, but it is very, very limited.
Okay, moving up. Level 2 seems to be the one most people go for. It's a bit of a compromise. What does the RICS Level 2 report give you?
Level 2 is designed to stop you from buying a money pit that's been hidden by a fresh coat of paint. It's still a non-invasive survey, so they're not moving sofas. But it highlights all the major visible problems. And crucially, if you get the level 2 with a valuation, it includes a professional market valuation, the insurance reinstatement figure, and advice on repairs and maintenance.
So if the report points out some damp, it'll tell me what it is, but it won't give me a quote saying, this will cost you $4,000 to fix.
That's the critical limitation. You get advice, but no cost estimates. The surveyors look into things like the damp-proof course, insulation, drainage, but they're not spending a whole day probing every corner. They spot the big, visible risks.
Right, now for the big one, the RICS Level 3 report. This is when you need to know absolutely everything you can about a property.
This is the heavy artillery. It's much more expensive, but it gives you the highest level of protection because it is just so detailed. It's perfect for older properties, unusual buildings, or any place that's been heavily modified over the years.
And what does more detailed actually look like on the day? How are they acting differently?
They're more invasives. They're not structural engineers, but they will be lifting loose floorboards, going right into the roof space, using equipment to probe materials. They can be on site for a full day, maybe 4 to 6 hours versus maybe 2 hours for a level 2.
This goes right back to what you were saying. If you're buying that 200-year-old thatched cottage, a level 3 isn't an expense, it's non-negotiable insurance.
It is. You simply cannot rely on a quick visual check for a complex historic building. And on the flip side, if you're buying a brand new house with a 10-year warranty, you're probably not going to bother with anything more than maybe a level 1, if that.
Because the risk is already covered.
Exactly. The choice is a direct calculation of risk versus cost.
Okay, let's talk about the defects that lenders care about most. Top of the list has to be structural movement. This is the one that can just kill a mortgage application dead.
It's the #1 issue because it threatens the property's entire structure and its insurability. And we need to split it into 2 things, subsidence and heave.
Subsidence is the common one, right? The ground sinks.
Correct. The land below the building drops unevenly. Usually it's about water. Leaking drains can wash soil away, or in a long dry spell, clay soil can shrink away from the foundations.
And the signs are new cracks in the brickwork.
New diagonal cracks, yeah. Or maybe wallpaper that's rippling in the upstairs rooms for no obvious reason.
And heave is just the opposite. The ground pushes up.
Correct. Heave often happens when you remove big, thirsty trees near a house. All that water that the tree was drinking suddenly floods the soil, it swells, and it pushes the foundations upwards.
So if a valuer sees evidence of this, does the lender just say no?
Not always. If they can confirm the movement is long-standing and non-progressive, it happened ages ago, was fixed, and hasn't moved since, the lender might be okay with it.
But if it's new?
If they think it's recent or ongoing, they will absolutely refuse the mortgage until you, the borrower, get a full structural engineer's report. And if that report shows deep, expensive problems, the lender will likely walk away for good.
Okay, let's say the defect isn't structural, but it's still serious. Maybe an old flat roof needs replacing. Lenders will often proceed, but with conditions. You mentioned the difference between an undertaking and a retention.
Yes, and this is vital for your cash flow. An undertaking is basically a promise. It's a formal agreement where you, the buyer, promise to handle less serious repairs, like minor damp treatment, after you move in.
And the key thing here is the lender isn't holding any money back.
That's right. They're taking you at your word. Now, you are technically in breach of your mortgage if you don't do it, but it's for the lower risk jobs.
Okay, now compare that to a retention. This sounds more serious.
It is. Our retention's for the bigger, higher risk repairs. Fixing that leaking flat roof, replacing a whole damp-proof course. Here, the lender physically holds back a chunk of the loan, say £10,000, until the work is done and signed off.
So if I'm facing a retention, I have to find that £10,000 myself to fix the roof before I get all my mortgage money.
Exactly that. You have to fund the repair out of your own pocket first. You hire the contractor, get the work done to the lender's satisfaction, and only then do they release the rest of the loan to you. It's a huge financial hurdle you have to plan for.
That makes it perfectly clear. Undertakings are promises, retentions are about cash and control. Let's switch gears and look at the new build market, where guarantees often replace some of this survey risk.
Right. If you buy a house straight from the developer, it will almost certainly be covered by a major warranty scheme. NHBC BuildMark is the big one, but there's also Premier Guarantee and LABC. Lenders insist on one of these.
We always hear about the NHBC's 10-year guarantee. How does that decade of cover actually work?
It's best to think of it in two phases. The first 2 years are like the bumper-to-bumper warranty on a new car. It covers defects from the builder failing to meet standards. If your window seals are faulty, the builder has to fix it.
That's the builder's liability period.
Yes. Then for years 3 through 10, the insurance part kicks in. But this only covers the cost of damage from major structural defects foundations, load-bearing walls, the roof structure. It stops covering the small stuff and just focuses on a catastrophe.
There have been a lot of stories recently about poor build quality and buyers who struggle to get those initial problems fixed. The New Homes Ombudsman Service was set up to help with that, right?
Yes, the NHOS is a really important new body. It's a free, impartial service to help you resolve disputes with your developer during those first 2 years.
So it's for the snagging list issues.
Exactly. Persistent snagging lists, problems with the sales process, poor customer service. It's about the consumer experience and getting those general defects sorted.
So if my faucet is leaking after 6 months, I go to the ombudsman. If my foundations crack in year 5, I go straight back to the NHBC warranty.
That's it, precisely. The ombudsman handles the consumer issues early on. The warranty provider handles the big, deep structural risk for the full 10 years.
So we've walked through the whole landscape. We've gone from the lender's quick, superficial check that you pay for all the way to the forensic deep dive you can commission for yourself.
And the essential lesson is that the lender's valuation might be enough if you're a really experienced buyer or you're buying a brand new warranted property. But for almost everyone else, especially on an older property, the cost of a level 2 or level 3 survey is just an essential part of your budget. It's risk mitigation.
This knowledge is what gives you power. It's about understanding the difference between the risk the lender accepts, which is purely financial, and the repair and condition risk that you, the buyer, are taking on. If you skip that survey, you are accepting 100% of that risk.
Which brings us to our final thought for you to consider. The absolute best defense you can have against buying a money pit comes from that level 3 report, the one that you commission and control. So given the incredibly high stakes of buying a home, what specific factor, is it the age of the property, your own level of experience, or simply your budget, should be the one that dictates whether the cost of that level 3 inspection is, for you, a truly non-negotiable insurance policy?